Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we explore a mystery hidden in the shadows of time, a chapter of history that whispers instead of screams, and a war that many believe never actually happened. Yet in secret corridors, forgotten documents, and quiet battlefields covered by forests and dust, traces remain. This is a story of invisible conflict, covert operations, and silent casualties. This is the tale of the war that never happened, a struggle erased from books but echoing through history like a distant thunder we refuse to acknowledge. For centuries, the world has recorded wars with dates, battles, heroes, and villains. We remember loud explosions, marching armies, famous generals, and grand monuments. But not every war is written in bold lines. Some wars unfold in darkness, carried out by whispers instead of bullets, diplomacy twisted into deception, and nations fighting without flags. This secret war is one of those mysteries where soldiers fought unseen, history moved in silence, and powerful empires denied everything. Kings, presidents, spies, and generals played a dangerous game where victory was hidden and defeat was buried under lies. The idea of a secret war might sound like fiction, but history is filled with conspiracies, covert missions, missing archives, and strange events that make historians scratch their heads. In small towns, people spoke of strange troops passing by at night. In forgotten bunkers, rusted weapons lay abandoned. Families whispered about men who left home and never returned, and governments denied knowing their names. These clues create a picture of conflict behind the curtain, a war fought on a battlefield that only the shadows could see. Some historians suggest this war took place during a time of global transition when empires were falling and new nations were rising. Old powers wanted to stay strong, new powers wanted to break free, and somewhere in between, secret alliances formed like cracks in glass. Deals were made in smoke-filled rooms, spies exchanged coded messages, and small skirmishes erupted in remote areas where no reporters were allowed. These were not battles for land alone, but for ideas, influence, and control of the future. Many experts believe this conflict involved not one but multiple nations, each hiding its true intentions behind diplomacy and media control. This was not a war declared openly. It was built through secret funding, proxy forces, covert propaganda, and intelligence operations. Soldiers wore no official uniforms, aircraft flew without markings, and decisions were made behind locked doors with no official records. The governments prepared speeches announcing peace while quietly planning the opposite. This was a world where truth was flexible, loyalty was negotiable, and power meant secrecy more than strength. Imagine a battlefield where maps were not drawn on land but on influence, pressure, and fear, where instead of tanks rolling through cities, ideas infiltrated societies. Whisper campaigns poisoned trust, covert agents sabotaged infrastructure, and unknown groups armed rebels in faraway regions. Nations used technology, spies, false political movements, and psychological tactics instead of open warfare. People lived under illusions while leaders played chess with human lives. If anyone asked questions, answers were rehearsed and convincing. After all, how do you prove a war existed when the world is trained to deny it? There were rumors of secret military units trained specifically for this conflict, men and women who swore oaths to missions that would never be acknowledged. They operated in extreme silence, traveling across borders with forged identities, operating equipment that was officially never developed, and reporting to commanders whose names never appear in history books. These agents were ghosts of war, fighting battles in forests, deserts, and abandoned villages, leaving no trace except the silence that followed them. Some legends speak of a small island where a mysterious clash took place, Residents recall the ground shaking at night, strange lights in the sky, and smoke rising from hills, yet authorities called it training exercises. Others remember unexplained explosions near mountain passes, bodies quietly buried, and roads suddenly closed with no explanation. A fisherman once spoke of seeing ships firing at each other in fog, but the event never appeared in newspapers. Stories like these multiply across continents, forming a pattern that historians cannot ignore. The most fascinating part is how effectively this war was erased. Archives sealed, documents destroyed, witnesses silenced, and journalists discredited. Those who tried to expose the truth faced threats, sudden career destruction, or mysterious accidents. Intelligence agencies used misinformation to confuse researchers. Even today, many governments maintain unusually strict secrecy around certain events, military budgets, and intelligence files that date back decades. What is hidden so carefully must have significance. You do not bury something this deep unless it has power to change history. Why hide a war? The answer may lie in politics, reputation, and fear. A secret war allows governments to avoid outrage, bypass public accountability, and shape events without democratic resistance. They can test weapons without treaties, manipulate economies without blame, and eliminate threats quietly. Losing a secret war would be humiliating, so erasing it becomes convenient. If victory was ugly or costly, silence protects pride. And if the war involved atrocities or illegal operations, burying the truth becomes not just strategy, but survival. But history always leaves fingerprints. There are retired officers who hint about missions they cannot discuss. There are budget records with billions unaccounted for. There are satellite photos showing destroyed facilities that officially never existed. Mysterious medals with no campaign names, encrypted diaries found in attics, and coded radio transmissions intercepted by amateur listeners. Even fragments of military equipment discovered by villagers do not match known armies or technology from that era. These clues whisper the same truth. Something happened. Let us consider how this secret war influenced the world. Some say it shaped alliances we see today, dictated borders quietly, and changed governments without elections. Leaders suddenly rose and fell during that period. Rebel movements gained mysterious support, and certain nations gained strategic advantages without visible battles. Strange political shifts occurred. Economies collapsed overnight in some regions, and advanced technology suddenly appeared. After years of stagnation, the world moved like pieces pushed by an invisible hand, one that never wanted to be seen. Despite the secrecy, those who suffered did not remain untouched. As villages were abandoned, families disappeared without notices, and border regions hold unmarked graves. Survivors speak in half sentences, afraid of something that may still exist. Some elders recall nights when helicopters flew low, when gunfire echoed in forests, and when unknown soldiers knocked on doors asking questions. These memories survive without proof, but pain carries truth, even when history books remain silent. One of the most interesting theories suggests this war was not only fought on Earth, but also across information networks long before the Internet era, with coded telegraph messages, encrypted transmissions, and psychological operations. The battlefield was human perception. Whoever controlled truth controlled victory. If people never knew a war existed, then the cost, the suffering, and the political damage could be hidden. It was a war not only for territory, but for memory itself. Today, academics continue to search for overlooked evidence. Censored telegrams, altered diplomatic logs, strange military drills originally labeled as routine, and testimonies buried in classified archives. Slowly pieces connect, maps with erased regions, letters filled with circled names and redacted lines, military maintenance logs showing unexplained aircraft repairs. Even forgotten bunkers recently uncovered with equipment and notes in unknown scripts. These are not fantasies. They are real fragments that historians struggle to interpret. So what does all this mean for us? It teaches us that history is not always written by victors alone, but sometimes by shadows. Power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Wars are not always monuments and headlines. Sometimes they are scars, hidden deep inside nations. We must understand that truth can be shaped, erased, rewritten, and denied. Every generation should learn to question the obvious, challenge official narratives, and search for hidden layers beneath the surface. If such a war truly happened, then it reminds us that silence can be more dangerous than noise. Invisible conflicts can be as destructive as open battles, maybe even more, because they leave nations doubting themselves. If a war can be hidden from history, then what else has been hidden? How many stories remain locked away? How many sacrifices were never honored? These unanswered questions echo louder than cannons. And now, as we examine modern events, we notice similar patterns. Covert operations, disinformation campaigns, proxy conflicts, and advanced technology cloaked in secrecy. History might not repeat exactly, but it rhymes. We may not be living in peace. We might simply be watching a quieter battlefield. Understanding the war that never happened prepares us to recognize the wars that might be happening around us without our knowledge. In the end, the truth hides, not because it is weak, but because it is powerful. The real battle is not about remembering a secret war. It is about recognizing that history can be manipulated, truth can be hidden, and freedom demands awareness. We must stay curious, skeptical, and brave enough to question what we are told. If this war was wiped from memory, the best tribute to those caught in its shadows is to keep searching, keep asking, and never fear the hidden chapters of our past. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay questioning, and remember that silence sometimes speaks louder than war. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten history, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep your eyes open to the stories the world tries to forget.